Hey, so now we're gonna add some water to this map. Make sure you haven't selected anything, click out, and go ahead and go over to your Create tab, click on Plane, and draw yourself a little plane here. It doesn't have to be the same size as your map, it can be any size, but what this is going to represent is the surface of the water. So you want to make it whatever decent size works for your map. You can also have it at any rotation, anything like that, as long as the side that has all the textures is going to face the player, basically. The what we're going to do here, go ahead and go to backface call. So you can see we don't want this side to face the player initially, because anything under this is going to be underwater. So we want to have this face the player. We're going to name this very specifically water, exclamation mark, cash sign, dollar sign. And we're going to create a material, click out, and press M to open your material editor. I already have one ready here. Uh, you named it water, and then in the material number here, make sure you've replaced that with water, exclamation mark, dollar sign. Go ahead and drag this over. You can go ahead and also uh, convert this thing to an editable mesh if you'd like. That way you can go over to all these spaces, Control A, and just change these to your water surface. And now you can see nice deep blue is facing our player. The last step is to link this surface to the frame and export the whole thing. We're going to go ahead and save over our model from before. Yes. Now it's going to look kind of ugly because we're not going to deal with any shaders with it, but it will still get the job done. You can copy all sorts of shader tags from other maps like Death Island and it's Silent Cartographer basically, uh, so that you can make your water look really, really nice. But what we're about to do is not going to look too bad. Remember to build your structure, but first go over to levels here. In your tags directory, go to where you put it, and delete everything here but the bitmaps folder. There are some issues you can run into by just building structure over structure. When you try to run Sapien, it will just close on you. It won't even give you an error. So be sure that you've deleted those. Rerun structure. And it will give you these errors. This is fine. As long as you see this little stuff down here, everything has worked exactly as it's supposed to. We're going to toss the sky onto our level really fast because we've done this all before. Oh, sure. And we're going to leave our starting equipment blank. It's going to give us defaults, but that's fine for what we're about to show off here. Load empty scenario. Look at all that water. That's fancy. That's not our water, by the way. This over here is our water. You see this weird sort of floating thing right here. You can see that's the surface of our water right here. Of course, we haven't done radiosity to our map. Since I'm only showing off water here, I'm going to set the quality to 0. You can see a significant improvement in how fast it renders it out. Because this is such a complicated map, I'm just going to leave it like that. You can see it's a lot darker because of that. It didn't bounce all the light across, but it's fine. We can still see what's going on. And we can see that our water is right here cutting through the map. But what we're going to need to do here to really make this show, to to really give an effect of water is go over to cluster properties, palettes, fog palette, and change the fog palette here. First click new instance, and click these three dots here, and go to your tags directory, levels, test, Death Island, and you can just take the water fog from them. Rename this to something like water. Change the fog scale function to 1, and go over to fog right under the palettes and change this to your name here. Make sure all these changes are actually happening to your thing. There. So now our water fog is correct. Now this is a bit darker of a sky actually, so we're gonna see the water's a bit harder to see in this, but it is there, and you'll see, maybe you'll notice this little green line here when you have fog selected, and that's telling you that everything's working, and you're gonna see some nice water when we load the map. So go ahead and build the map here. Oops. Remember, the command is build cache file. Everything should be good, and let's load up Halo. So we loaded up our map again. You can see all these still behave like we expect them to, but now we have this big old blue thing over here, just like we wanted because of our water plane. And if we step into it, we are now underwater, and stuff like grenades will behave accordingly. So you can see some stuff's just from the Halo engine, like smoke coming out of the water, but you can see you now have some water here, and you can put this wherever you want in your map, make pools of it. Really cool stuff. So when we start doing more advanced textures, reflections, bump mapping, stuff like that, we'll go over how to make this look a lot more like water with reflections and ripples and all that. But for our purposes for right now, that's what we got. We got ourselves some working water. You can go underwater, shoot it, bounce grenades off it like you're skipping rocks, whatever you want. Our next lesson will be on indoor as opposed to, I count this as outdoor. So we're going to have indoor and more complex maps. So you're going to be able to use your texture knowledge now to create interior walls, a little bit about lighting, because we're going to need alternative forms of lighting if we're not going to have a big old sky in front of us, or above us rather. And more complex maps. So instead of just creating this little box, which is still basically what we did in the last tutorial, we're now going to have stuff with corridors and rooms, maybe even some doors. So let me know what you think in the comments if you want anything added into basic, indoor, and a little bit complex maps. So, rate, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Good luck, good modding, and hope to see you next time.